morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good to see everybody this morning. Nice, beautiful day. Do we have any announcements? Anybody well? Anybody sick?
We're also
Everybody's well. Yeah. Well, let's open with a moment of prayer. Most gracious and merciful God, who created all things wise and wonderful, be with us today as we gather to worship, study, and pray. Deepen our spiritual insight, strengthen our bonds of faith, widen the circle of our concern for our fellow creatures and the earth that you've given us to maintain life. Knit us together as the body of Christ, that we may further his work. As the world shows forth today the beauty of creation, let us show forth the love of humankind that Christ exemplified, and that binds us all together as children of God. We ask for these gifts of the Spirit in the name of your Son, our Savior, Christ the Lord. Amen. And we're very fortunate today to have our friend John Whisnant to talk to us and tell us about Step Up Greensboro. As you know, John is an elder, a leader in the church, and we're very fortunate to have him here. Thank you, John.
Well, good morning. I love that I'm speaking to friends. I see so many wonderful faces of people that I know and love dearly, and you know I love this church dearly. And I'm really grateful to be a part of this ministry that started out of this church. You all know Sharon Sumner and what a force she was, and I can tell you I was on chairing the outreach committee with Marge Michael the year that she conceived of this idea and tried to bring it to fruition, and she met with us and wanted us to, as a committee, to take that on. And I said, Sharon, we can't do that. I was like, our committee is not that strong. I was like, you're going to have to be its unpaid CEO if you want this to happen. And of course, as you all know Sharon, she made it happen. And I was also on the finance committee at that time. I think I still am. I think I have to die to get off that committee. I think you do. I mean, really, truly. And I said, and I can tell you, we don't have any money. So if you need money, I don't know what you're going to do. But miraculously, she made it happen. And so you will see, this is a picture here of when we were in the Green Street house. We're now here in the church. So, and we're so grateful for that. We're in the space that used to be the daycare. And it gives us real office space and really gives us a lot of credibility, I think, as an organization. And the weight of this church and its endorsement behind us makes us really credible and real. And we've been doing this for 11 years now. We've been training people to be prepared for jobs and to help them find a job. Not just a job. I mean, you all know, everywhere you go, every place you walk into has a weird hiring sign. I think I could sign my name to a blank application and probably get a job in this town, making $12 or $15 an hour. I mean, that's how desperate people are for work. But that's not what we're about. I mean, we want to get people a job, but we want to get them a job that's going to be meaningful to them and something that will be more sustaining and like a career. So it is our vision to become the leading resource in Guilford County for people seeking to transform their lives through stable employment and enhanced skills. We say we motivate, we equip, and we empower people to do that. And so that's what we're all about there. So, motivate, empower, equip. We want people to be self-sufficient and stable. That's the most important thing. I don't know how you would measure the math behind it, but if you had somebody earning, say, $25,000 or $30,000 a year to support their family, and by the way, $30,000 a year is poverty level for a family of four. So That means if they're earning $30,000 a year and they have a housing voucher or EBT, foods, card, they'll lose that. They'll lose one of the two. And then all of a sudden, they're in peril again. So that's the reality of where we are. And we face this every single day. So, since 2011, we've trained over 1,400 people. 57% of those folks have gained employment. Of course, the demographic that's hard for us to match is we stay in contact with them for between 6 months and a year. And people that want to stay in contact with us beyond that, we are all about that. But of course, people move on with their lives. So, about 6 months to a year after we've trained them and they've gotten a job or whatever, we sometimes lose contact with them. So we don't know how to measure the long-term results. But we're hopeful that because of the type of training we're doing and the type of employment we're helping them get, that they are then somehow continuing that journey into long-term positive results. This is one thing I want to point out. We do have local employers because one of the barriers that many of our participants have in terms of employment is they've had some type of interaction with our criminal justice system, let's say. And so that's a big barrier. And many employers are unwilling to cross that line. So what we've done is not only are we training people, but we've gone out and partnered with different employers locally to say, if we send you somebody, this may be an issue, and would you be willing to overlook that or work around it? Most of the folks that we have coming through, their involvement with our criminal justice system is involved with drugs. If you have any amount of illegal substance on you, boom, automatic, you're in the system. And that's, how do you judge somebody when that may be, at that moment, their only way of making a living, So we've got a lot of employers locally, Quaintance Weaver, hospitality folks, the quarry folks. There's a chicken processing farm in Siler City, Mount Air, that will take a lot of folks. And so we're grateful for those partnerships because it allows people to overcome that one particular barrier that they may be facing. So that's important to us. Of course, Stepwood would not be here if it were not for, of course, Presbyterian Church, Sumner, all of the different faith communities that came together at the beginning to support the program financially. And we still have a lot of those folks that are still supporting the program financially. Every month when we do our jobs training week, we have 8 different congregations that are supporting the work that we do in some way. They are providing a meal, they are providing somebody to deliver a devotional message, because that's part of what we want to do, is to encourage people. We do not proselytize, but we do encourage folks to find some source to plug into. And the source that our director, Anthony Bass, will tell to people is God was his source. God turned his life around. So when he plugged into that source, it helped him to turn his life around. You find your source to plug into to turn your life around. Here, of course, is our wonderful Sharon, getting it all together for us. So, she started Hot Dish and Hope, which we're still doing, and that's wonderful. And this ministry is sort of an outcrop of Hot Dish and Hope. It had been going on in Raleigh for years. I think that's how she found out about it. White Memorial in Raleigh had been doing this type of training for a long time. She felt the need to bring it to Greensboro. And back in 2008, our economy was terrible back then. If you recall, we were all going back into the Great Depression. And so she felt like there was a need for this, and of course, there has been a great need for it. And it's been very successful. Do what?
Juan Kizzy had a part in it.
Oh, yes, he did. You're absolutely right. Thank you, Jane. I forgot about that. So, here's where we get our funding. Individuals, faith communities, corporations, and businesses, and foundations. I'm happy to report that we submitted several foundation grants that we're waiting response from. We actually were approached by Cone Foundation. They recently, I don't know, found out they had some extra money. So they contacted us and said, won't you apply? So we did. So I quickly wrote a grant for $25,000. We hope to hear from that any minute now. We submitted grants to the Community Foundation. We have funding from the SEMA Foundation. I've been in conversation with Mary Scott at Hillsdale. So we have lots of sort of corporate, and here's another good news story. So one of our programs beyond the jobs readiness is we have these sort of what we call bridge programs. And we invite people who've gone through the jobs training program to come back and participate in men's character development or women's character development or money boot camp, other things. So money boot camp is a 7-week program that we do to teach people financial wellness, things about how to open a bank account, how to manage your checkbook, how to apply for a car loan or get a mortgage or things like that. And the teacher of that class is a financial person from Truist Bank. Truist, y'all remember it, Truist has been every bank before and now all of a sudden it's Truist. So, they have committed to us $25,000 worth of funding. But because of the advocacy of this young woman, Melanie, who teaches that class, when they were reviewing their giving or giving, they had some extra money to give out in the community, and they increased their gift to $60,000 for us, which is incredible because we are a very lean operation. Our total operating budget here is about $430,000. So that, as their development director, made my life very easy, as you might imagine. But it was an incredible sort of vote of confidence. So when we go back out into the community and ask for funding, and people say, well, who's funded you? Can you imagine the power of that story when I can tell it, So that's really great. So we're grateful for that. But of course, we also have great, individual donor funding. Many of you, I know, have been to our yearly impact luncheon that we have here at the church. We're going to have it again this September 19th, by the way, mark your calendars. And individuals write us checks, too. So we have a lot of support from this church, but from our home community as well, so as you might imagine. Oh my goodness, did I mess this up? I want to get us to the video of our individual, Leroy Farmer, because you all will love that. But I think technology is not going to be our friend. Huh. I wonder if we need to, I've got some extra batteries up here. Do you think this needs new batteries? Give me one moment for technology.
It's in the chair.
Oh. It's
The other chair.
sorry.
Other side.
Other side.
Easter egg hunt.
Exactly. Well, folks, I don't know what to tell you about this. I was told that if I continued to hit the enter button, it would forward us, but I've changed the batteries and that doesn't seem to be working. Let me try one more time. Anyway, let's not get sidetracked by that. So part of our program, of course, is the main focus of our program is a week-long training program that gets folks ready for employment. And what that program includes is resume building, teaching them how to complete an application, because you would be surprised. For those of us who have not gone on a job interview or completed an application, the whole application process is, for many of them, a huge challenge. Beyond your name and address and where you worked and what you did and who your supervisor was and when you were there, and that whole process is incredible. And so one of the things that we school them on is how you complete that application completely and neatly so that people can read it, because that will set you apart from somebody who just comes in and just scribbles some things down. We assess them for their skills and help them build a resume around the things that they do. We have this one applicant, this young man, been in prison for the better part of his early adult life. But while he was in prison, he got his certification in HVAC, in plumbing, in drywall. He did not waste his time in prison. And I looked at him and I said, you're an employer's dream. I said, don't even think about the whole prison thing. I said, you've moved past that. I said, you've demonstrated here that you're ready for employment. I said, a contractor would hire you in a minute. I said, if I were a contractor, I would hire you in a minute. So that's the good news. And then, of course, we have a clothing closet. Many of y'all may have volunteered in our clothing closet. And I got to tell you, these men, because I work with the guys when I help them in the clothing closet, have never owned a suit in their life. And so when they get a suit and they see themselves in that suit, it changes everything about them. They see themselves in a different kind of way. And of course, when I'm taking a Brooks Brothers shirt off of the rack, and I'm like, somebody paid $150 for this shirt at Brooks Brothers, so this is a really quality piece of garment, and taking the Hub Limited suit off of a rack, and there's a pair of Nettletons over there. Those of y'all who remember what those are, they're a size 10 narrow. I wedged my foot into them and walked around for 20 minutes until they absolutely killed me, because I was determined I wanted them for myself. If I had known they were going to stop making them, I would have bought 10 pair. But anyway, that's the kind of thing that they're getting. And so we're building them up. We're building these individuals up, both men and women. And so the good news about that is once they've got their suit on and they've gone through the class, we've helped them practice interviews, we've given them real-world questions about the kind of job they may want to do. We have human resource professionals that come in and help with those practice interviews, so they're getting, it's a whole comprehensive type of training around what it takes to be successful and to, get a real job, and to be out there as a functioning part of society. So that's the good news. So that week involves, getting them in there, getting them oriented. The second day we assess them, take them to the clothing closet. On the third day we begin to do various sessions. We talk about anger management, we talk about conflict resolution. We have this wonderfully dynamic lady named Judy Johnson who comes in and does this session called Me, Myself, and I, where she puts out pictures and cue cards and stuff, and people have to choose one that represents who they are, or what they might be feeling that day, or something like that. And they, it gets them to be very interactive. And what you see as the week goes on is, on Monday morning, everybody is, and by Wednesday, everybody's like, and on Friday, everybody's like, excited. And so we do a little graduation on Friday, where we give them their certificate, obviously, and acknowledge what they've accomplished. And it's 38 hours worth of various different types of training about different things. Some life skills, but mostly focused on jobs and what they need to do to be prepared for work, and not just work, but for society. sustainable work, career work, something that's meaningful to them. And we encourage them to think about what it is they would want to do. If you really love serving people, then maybe you should go into the hospitality industry. If you want to do sort of solitary work, maybe you should do construction or something like that. We're trying to help them find a purpose in life and encourage that purpose. And we love on them a lot, as you might imagine, and encourage them a lot. And like I said, we have churches that feed us and come and bring an encouraging message and all that kind of stuff. So that's the good part of it. But on that Friday, when we do our graduation, part of that graduation ceremony is we form what we call a closing circle. We get everybody in a round circle, and then we allow them the opportunity to speak about what this week has been like for them. And that's powerful, as you might imagine, because they've, at that point, become comfortable, and they'll open up, and they'll talk about how we've helped them sort of face some of their challenges. And I'm telling you, many of these individuals have challenges that we cannot begin to understand. With juggling children, work, homelessness, and addictions, substance abuse issues. And so as a result of that, they found a center of hope and a place that they can come back to. Because if they're ready for work, then what we do is we partner with them and become a case manager, basically, to help them find employment, get job leads. One of the things we teach is what's your strategy for finding a job? How are you thinking about how you're looking for work? If they're not ready for work because they have an issue, maybe they have a mental health issue, or maybe they're still struggling with substance abuse issues, we refer them out to other agencies to get some additional support to help them on their journey towards wellness and wholeness. Many of them have housing issues, and so we work very closely with the Housing Authority, obviously, on that. We'll also work with Barnabas Network to help them get furniture if they need that. Y'all are familiar with Barnabas. We also work with an organization called Wheels of Hope, because some of them have transportation issues. And this is an amazing thing. I don't know if y'all know. If you get approved, and we are given 6 slots a year from Wheels of Hope that are dedicated to just Step Up Ministries for this, you can get a car for $650. That's amazing. And those folks have to have their $650. They have to present that, and they do. For those who graduated from our jobs readiness program and actually have a job, we offer another program for them called Life Skills. And Life Skills is a 36-week program. They meet once a week for an hour and a half in the evenings. We feed them, church or somebody intervenes with that. So we try to feed, in every session that we do, we try to provide food, because we know that food is a challenge for a lot of our, sustenance is a challenge for a lot of our individuals. So we try to provide a meal or a snack or something for everything that we do. But in Life Skills, that 36-week commitment is an incentivized training program. So as you complete different stages of the program, you get a gift card or whatever. Part of that is, starting in week 10, if you bring $10 at the beginning of class, we will hold that money in deposit for you, and we will match it $10. So that at the end of the training, you're walking away with like $700 as monies that's been saved and matched by us. So that gives you sort of an advantage, because for those of us who've never had to rent an apartment or do that kind of thing, if you don't have $3,000 or $4,000 going into that venture, you don't have any chance. It is first month, last month rent. Apartments, a 1-bedroom apartment in Greensboro in the worst neighborhood is probably $1,000 a month. It's the obstacles are almost insurmountable, but we're here as a part of a network of organizations to try and overcome all of that, help them to overcome all of that, and to be prepared to meet those obstacles confidently, knowing meet those challenges. That's what we're striving to do every single day. Questions? Yes, Judy?
Doesn't David Hammer teach?
Very good. Thank you for bringing that up because he is a wonderful resource. So David Hammer does the resume building part every single week of our training that we do. And I was fascinated by what I learned from him about a resume. The classical wisdom is a resume should only be one page, and this is what you do, objective, blah, 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 blah. Well, he breaks it all down based on a study that was done by Harvard or MIT or some really incredible group like that. I can't remember which one. But he says that anybody that's looking at a resume will give it at a maximum 1 inch. And they read this much at the top of the resume, and then their eye only sees anything else on the resume that is a number. So if you've written down 1998, you graduated from college, or whatever, your eye jumps to that place. He said, so you've got to make your resume in such a way that it captures that first probably 20 seconds of somebody reading the top part of it, the top third of the page. And so he allows folks in the room to think about a resume in a different way. He said, I'm not telling you how to make your resume. He said, I'm just telling you what the study has revealed about how people read your resume and how people look at your resume. So think about your resume in a possibly different kind of a way. Because I've got a resume that's 3 pages long, and it's got a whole bunch of stuff that nobody would ever want to read. And a bunch of it is all the things I've done in my political life, working for various people's political campaigns, Kay Hagan's campaign, and all that kind of stuff. And all my friends were like, you need to take that stuff off your resume. And I said, no, I will not. I said, because if somebody gets to that page and they don't want to hire me because I worked on Kay Hagan's campaign, I know I don't want to work for that person. I mean, think about it. So everything we do has to be intentional, And so that's what we're trying to help our participants understand, is that you have a real stake in this game. This is your life. And so present yourself the way you want to be perceived. Let people know who you are and what your value is to them and stuff. And that's what we encourage over and over and over again. We in the practice interviews we ask that question about, well, tell me a little bit about yourself. But because I've been in the position to hire people, especially in a warehouse environment, if some of the guys are looking for warehouse work, I was like, you get ready, because I could ask you some real questions. Do you know how to operate the equipment? Do you drive a forklift? Do you know what a pallet jack is? Do you know how to do inventory on a device? Things like that. And some of them do, which is very good. But they're shy and timid, and the world hasn't looked at them in a place of value for so long that we're trying to help them realize that they do have that. Any other questions about it? Yes.
I do. How did they find out about Step Up?
And a lot of it is word of mouth. We do place flyers all over town. We put flyers out at Salvation Army and Urban Ministry, at various churches, the library, any place that we think somebody who might be seeking this kind of thing would be frequenting. But word of mouth is really our biggest thing. So many folks, so we ask that question when people call us or we find somebody, we're like, how'd you hear about this? And a lot of people will say, well, my minister told me. Or a friend of mine went through your program a couple of years ago and said, I'm ready for this, or I should come to this now. And then, of course, we're constantly recruiting. We go to places like this past Thursday, there's a group that hands out fresh produce over at the Renaissance Center on Phillips Avenue. And so we went and volunteered to help them hand out this fresh produce. And of course, we set up a table and got our flyers there and stuff like that. Here's what we do if you're interested or you need something like this. We're a resource in town. And then, of course, because we have such deep involvement with faith communities, when folks approach churches for assistance or whatever, we're top of mind as a resource, as a place you may want to go to, get some training or whatever assistance we get. And then, of course, if somebody approaches us, and I will tell you, this is very important, the The only people that we ever turn away are anybody who is on the sex offenders registry. Because we are located here on this campus, and this is where we do the training, we also have a daycare here,
John,
or
I think
a school.
very-
We have a school, you know, and so because we have the kindergarten or school, preschool, whatever, we cannot allow them to be on this campus. And so we're very mindful of being protected with that relationship with the church and the school. So if you're on the sex offender registry, we cannot train you, but we have resources that we can refer you to get some similar type of training. It's called Jobs on the Outside. It's another nonprofit that trains folks who have that particular situation. So just so you all know, we're very mindful of our presence here and very mindful of keeping this campus safe for the children that are here and for the folks that are working here and for our own selves as well. So we do a background check on everybody that comes through our program, so we're aware of what their issues may be and what we may need to be tuned to. And our executive director, Anthony Bass, is unafraid to approach anybody about any issue they may have had. And if we feel like that they're not ready for us, then we will send them to another agency where they can get whatever additional resource they need. So, yes, ma'am.
Does Bill Linton's program still exist, and if it does, do they have any association?
You know, I don't, that's a really great question, and I don't know if it does or not. We don't have any kind of formal association that I'm aware of. So, and I've been there now for a year, so I feel pretty meshed, you know, so I don't know. That's a great question. What else?
John?
John, how well does it stick? Do you have any success measure?
So, yes, we do. We have trained, like I said, in that one slide y'all saw before this one, when we lost our technology here. We've trained over 1,400 people. We know that at least 500 of those folks have found employment, and we think that they've been able to maintain that. From our recent statistics and measurements, we know that most folks are obtaining employment at an average rate of about $14 an hour. So that's good. That's still, if you're a family of four, on the poverty line. Because if you can't work 50 or 60 hours a week, you're not getting ahead, obviously. And we have an ongoing group called Men's Character Development and Women's Character Development. In Men's Character Development, we have about 15 guys that meet once a week for an hour and a half to sort of just be together. You know, I mean, talk about issues that they may be, you know, confronting or addressing. The women's group gets together. That group of women have been meeting for 5 years, and there's about 20 of them. And it is an opportunity for them to come together, again, share a meal, talk about their concerns, cry together, you know, whatever they need to do. There are mentors in each of these groups, so you've got some leadership in terms of helping direct folks to resources they may need, or to be a credible voice around an issue, to say, you know, I hear what I know what you're going through. I'm an alcoholic recovering, and I can help you on that journey, or whatever, you know. And then, of course, the life skills class, which is very comprehensive. So, lots going on out there.
What's a good age group? Is it more younger people coming?
So we broadcast that we will serve ages 18 to 64. I would say from what I've observed, most of our folks are in that like late 30 to up to mid 40s, late 40s age. Most of the men are of that age range because they were convicted of some drug charge very early in their life, and they spent 20 years in prison, and they've now been released. And so what they're trying to do is rebuild a life, you know, or try to figure out life. The video that I hoped we could show was about a gentleman. His name is Leroy Farmer. He was in prison when he was very young on drug charges. He could not read. He learned how to read in prison because his daughter would send him letters and wanted to be able to read them. After spending 20 years in prison, he got out, he came through our program, he got a job, he kept that job, he got a better job, he got a warehouse job, like moving freight or stuff on the forklift, whatever, and got a better job, got a leadership position. He has stayed in contact with us now 4 years later through a program that First Baptist Church sponsors. They have a Christian Restoration Fund over there, which is monies available to credible groups in town, and they've chosen us as one of their credible groups. They will provide assistance, monetary assistance for things that people need, equipment, schooling, transportation, whatever. We have gotten some money from them to pay for him to go back to college. He is in the process of getting his HVAC certification. He calls on us probably once a week, just out of gratitude and staying committed to us because of what we helped him accomplish. Our most recent, y'all were at our last Impact Luncheon. Cleveland Finch is one of our success stories. He had been in now the system for 30 years, and when he finally got out and came through our program, the first time it didn't stick. And about a year later, he ran into Anthony Bass, our executive director down at Urban Ministries, and Anthony said, well, why don't you come to our next training? And so we did. And it took, it happened for him. He's now employed by Mount Zion Baptist Church as one of their custodial individuals. They bought him a car. They have paid his rent for a month. And they gave him a job because that's how much they believe in him. And he is thriving as a result of that. Because someone said, you are significant. And in the video, when he first completed our program, he got a job at Urban Ministries on the custodial staff. And the video opens with him pulling a set of keys out of his pocket. And that struck me so deeply because you give somebody a key to something, you're entrusting them with that. I mean, there's a great deal of trust that goes into giving somebody a key. I mean, we all have somebody that has a key to our house that they can get in. And we've chosen those people very carefully, And when he pulled those keys out, I was like, that was a tearjerker moment for me. So that we have tons of stories like that where people have come through this program and they've been able to turn their lives around and, accomplish lots of the things that we all take for granted, So,
John,
yes, ma'am.
are most of the men black?
So, it's interesting. Yes, 80% of our population is African American, 10% is Caucasian. It's a 50-50 mix, male and female. Of course, lots of homelessness involved in some of our populations. And when I say homeless, you have to define that. It's not that they're living on the streets or in their car. It's that they don't have a home of their own. They're living with a relative or a friend, whatever. And if you don't actually have your name on a lease or a mortgage, you're considered homeless. Technically. So that's the thing about it is, if you're living with a friend, you are still technically homeless. Bill, can you make us advance this? Because I want to get to that video.
Let me try.
Time. We've replaced the batteries. I don't know what all we've done everything. In our limited capacity. Because as you can see, you're dealing with a bunch of dinosaurs. And we're so grateful to say that, aren't we? Because I tell my friends who complain about getting old, they're like, oh, I'm getting so old, I'm getting so old. I said, it is a privilege to grow old with you because it is denied to many people. So I'm grateful that I'm still around. Let's see if Bill can work some magic.
So wait, the slide isn't advancing?
Well, it's not advancing. My PowerPoint is. And Yolanda or Jennifer one got me set up on this one to
hit the enter button that was supposed to make it happen, and it did for a couple of slides, but then it stopped. For your viewers at home, I'm sorry that this is the ugly love you have to look at all day.
John, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
What is this magic? I was working at the Heritage Building on the name this morning, with the lake car. Maybe it's totally, interview.
Right.
What happens when something's planned and it can't happen?
That's it. Thank you for asking that question today. Because lastly, we had training sessions scheduled. And we had individuals that showed up for the training. And in that particular training session, we realized that one of the individuals who showed up was a lifetime registrar on the sex offender registry. And so we had to obviously send him away to not do the training. The two other young ladies that showed up for that training were eligible to be a part of the training that we offered through the Salvation Army. And so we just redirected them to another training session, which meant that we were able to cancel that particular class. It was very unfortunate because Monica, works very hard to line up our volunteers for the week. And we had 20 people we had to call and say, thank you for being willing to volunteer, but now we suddenly don't need you. And we didn't want to go into a lot of explanation about that, but that is the explanation of what happened there. Is that one gentleman was on the sex offenders registry, and so we did not train him. We referred him out to that jobs on the outside group that I was talking about earlier. And then the other ladies are participating in a different type of training that we offer. The good news is we've been recognized for our excellence in training. And so the Salvation Army and what used to be Guilford Child Development, but is now called Children and Families First, they actually contract with us and pay us to conduct jobs training for them rather than trying to create their own program. So that's one source of income for us, and secondly, a stamp of approval. You got it going?
I think so.
So let's go all the way to the end.
Okay.
There's going to be a video. So we have time? Yeah, you'll have time. There, right. Let's get them.
This one.
Yeah. Make it as optional. Physically well, something about who's now getting his HVAC certification.
Okay, so there's no audio, that's good.
It won't be meaningful without the audio.
I'm guessing these are for the, yeah. Of course. All right. Then, what we need to do is escape. Here.
Y'all remember when we had to get those credit cards to make telephone calls when we weren't at home, and how we had to punch that number with the phone?
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, my God, how can we? I'm sorry, I can't learn all this new stuff.
Freedom is everything.
That's the loudest that it goes? One second, let me try one more thing.
If he can make it work, I told you, this is the gentleman, I told you the story about how he was in prison. Didn't know how to read, had to learn, he learned how to read, so he did read his daughter's letters to him while he was in prison.
Freedom is everything, man. There's nothing like freedom.
And the process of his life.
Yeah, it's creating an echo on the Zoom.
Yeah.
So, it seems like it wouldn't be this difficult.
Yeah, well, I have rattled on and on and on, so we're almost quarter to 11, and I know you all may take to worship, so I don't want to keep you beyond our allotted time. So there we go.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think this is the loudest it goes.
See, corollary to Murphy's Law.
Right.
Murphy's Law is anything can go wrong, is going wrong. The audio visual corollary is always.
That's true.
Uh,
Yeah.
I found another Irish lesson. May the friendships you make be those which endure, and all of your gray clouds be small ones, for sure. And trusting Him to whom we all pray, may a song fill your heart every step of the way. Go ahead, please.